Okay. So thank you for that, B. So good evening, good evening, good evening. My name is Yvette, also known as Sunshine of Sunshine Shimmering Accessory, and it's Monday. It's late Monday, but it's Monday, and I'm here to give you the word of motivation on Monday. I kind of going to touch base on what I started talking about last night. Today's my mother's birthday, and my mother's been gone for a while. Uh, yes, I love these. No, I love the sea bees. No, the sea bees are fine. But you heard me last night on my live talking about my mother's birthday and how we always get together and we celebrate. And so that's what happened today. That I was so busy preparing for that I actually forgot to do this video. But I said I would do it when I get home. And here I am. I'm home, and so I'm going to do it. But as I thought about it, and I thought about how celebrating my mother's birthday is really not a very sad occasion for us. It's just something we look forward to every year, and we get together. And it's because we have learned to put we've learned to put grief in its proper place, right? And I thought about that, and I thought about how so many people, and I've been on this thing for a while, so you've seen other videos where I talk about grief and putting it in its proper place, and I wanted to talk about that a little bit today. The name of this video is Let's Talk About Jesus the Man, right? Because there's a particular scripture in my head, right? And it's Isaiah 53, and it's verse 3, and it says, He was despised and rejected, a man of sorrows, acquainted with grief. And that's where I want to stop. He was despised and rejected, a man of sorrows, acquainted with grief. Right? And this, they're talking, the scripture's talking about Yeshua. They're describing him. He was despised and rejected, a man of sorrow, acquainted with grief. And the acquainted with grief means that it was something that he was familiar with. That's something that he understood. But the most powerful thing in the scripture to me was that he was a man of sorrow, right? He was a man. So very often we go through life and we're like, you know what, I'm not God. I can't do, the things that he did or what he's asking us to do, and the things that Yeshua did. Yeshua did these things, but because he was God. But what you need to understand is that Yeshua did these things as a man. He did not do them as God, right? He was the Son of God, and he was clearly aware of who he was, but he was a man of sorrows, acquainted with grief. He hurt just like you hurt. He cried just like you cried. He bleeds just like you bleed. It hurt to be nailed to the cross. And why am I saying all this? I'm saying all this is because he was acquainted with grief. So while you're going through your grief, and whatever it is you're grieving, whoever it is you're grieving, there's a God in heaven that's acquainted with your grief, that understands it, that's familiar with it. You are not alone. And Yeshua put it in its proper place. The shortest scripture the shortest sentence in scripture is Jesus wept. And why did he wept? He wept because Lazarus has died. And I've often wondered whether he was grieving Lazarus, because I think he had to know that he was going to call Lazarus from the dead. But I think what the tears was about Mary and Martha's pain, because they were so upset that their brother had died. And so he was a man of sorrows, acquainted with grief. And so he understood and he empathized with them, right? And so he wept. What I'm saying to you is weep, right? I'm saying to you, weep. I'm saying to you, grieve. I'm saying to you, do whatever you need to do, but then put grief in its proper place, right? He was acquainted with grief. He was not overtaken by it. And I don't want you to be overtaken by it either. I know that many of you lost your parents. Some of you have lost children. Some of you have lost friends. I've lost, right? But I don't want loss to be the end of me, right? I want to continue living even when people die. And that's what I'm talking about today. And I guess I'm talking about it today because, even though this day could be sad to so many people, for my family, it's a very happy day for us. My mother's been gone to be with the Lord for a long time, 11 years now, and yet we still celebrate her because we have put grief in its proper place. And I want you guys to do that as well. So I hope this video blessed you. And if it blesses you, I hope it further blesses you into submission. And what are you submitting to today? Hey, Carla, what you're submitting to today is putting grief in its proper place, recognizing that Yeshua, according to these scriptures, he was despised and rejected, a man of sorrow, acquainted with grief. And if Yeshua was acquainted with grief, that means he understands yours, and he's still asking you to push on. He's still asking you to move on. So I'm going to ask you to do the same thing. I'm going to ask you, as an act of submission today, to learn to put your grief in its proper place. Again, I hope this video blessed you. And if it blessed you, I hope it further blesses you into submission.